Hey, good afternoon, and welcome back to another episode of Clean Slate, a show here on Rebel Sports Network where we'll be discussing the weekly slate of NFL games. My name is Gabe Goddard. This week, I am joined by Ansley Pavicic and Johnny Graves. Guys, real quick before we jump into our next week's preview, there's a couple of games I want to go over. We can't start the show without talking about that Giants-Broncos game down up there in Denver, where the Broncos... it was the largest fourth quarter comeback non-overtime game in NFL history. They were down 19 to start the fourth, come back and win 33-32. I know the Giants missed a couple of extra points there. This was probably one of the craziest games, one of the craziest comebacks I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Ladies first, Ainsley. You got this one. I'll let you go.
Okay, I think what really started the comeback for the Broncos was that tip ball in for the touchdown, and I think it was just over from there for the Giants. It seems like they were able to extend that lead with the touchdown. However, even though we could call it a Giants collapse or a Broncos, overhaul, but give some credit to the Broncos. They're a good team. They sit on top of their division, which includes the Chiefs. So I think Broncos. Bo Nix is good. Give it up for the Broncos.
Yeah. Coming into this game, on paper, if you're looking at it, I know for me, I was looking at my fantasy stats trying to see how Cam Scatterwood was doing in this football game. All things considered, when you're looking at what happened in this game and how it transpired, this is a game the Giants are going to want back and want back in bunches.
Yeah.
This team and Brian Dable specifically fumbled this entire game. They had it in the bag. They basically could have just did a QB kneel for the rest of the game, and they would have had a better chance to win than what they did and how they performed in that football game. But the biggest thing is for the Broncos, on the anniversary of Demaryius Thomas and Peyton Manning both joining Broncos Hall of Fame, them being able to will themselves back. And for Bo Nix, you're looking at the stats. Bo Nix, 27 of 50, 279, 2 touchdowns. That entire first half, they couldn't get anything going offensively.
Right. Not even the third quarter, too.
At all. That Giants pass rush with Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, they did an amazing job of making sure that he was uncomfortable in the pocket and couldn't get the ball to his receivers. But when they needed it most, they had Marvin Mims Jr. have a classic game in this game. He made so many big-time catches for the Broncos to be able to put them not only in field goal range, but be able to get them in scoring position. You had guys like Troy Franklin. If you're looking at the box score, Troy Franklin was only able to get 3 catches for 19 yards, but those catches were so timely in what they needed, like you mentioned, Ainsley, being able to get that bobble touchdown, be able to score that touchdown, and that was kind of the first bit of jump start that they needed to get some life in this football game. But I think it says so much more about the Giants and the system and how they have been led so far to be looking at this team who has beaten both the Chargers and have also beaten my Eagles. And you look at the rest of the teams they've lost to. They've lost to the Saints. They've lost to the Broncos. Now, there's so much dysfunction with this team. There's so many different ends of the spectrum that you could see. And what I've seen so far from Jackson Dart, it's been amazing. He's done a great job of being able to be the quarterback for this team and what they need. Obviously, injuries play a part of it. When you're not having a talent like Malik Neighbors out there to be able to be another weapon for this offense, Darius Slayton with his hamstring injury hasn't been able to be there for the offense. There's a lot of things that they're going to look back at this tape and say, hey, guys, we're just going to have to wipe it clean and go back into that next week. But again, it's any given Sunday in the National Football League, and if you're not able to play a complete 60 minutes of football, things like this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and you had just mentioned it, too. The Giants beat the Eagles, and they're about to run it back next week. I know the Eagles just came off a good game. They beat the Vikings. Really, A.J. Brown's first breakout game of the year. They're probably riding high right now, but you can't count out the Giants. Obviously, you can't count out the Giants because they just lost a game that they really should have won, and they beat these Eagles before too. Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterwood both are, in my opinion, in the runnings for the Rookie of the Year, and we're gonna see right now, is this Giants team, are all these victories a fluke, or are they really the real deal?
And I think going into a game like this, you have the Eagles who, these teams played each other not 2 weeks ago, Everything is going to be very fresh for both of these teams. And for the Eagles, coming off the performance that they had with both Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Jalen Hurts having a 158 passer rating, being able to be the first passer this season to have that level of success against any team in the National Football League, I think They did so much to shut the naysayers down. And we've seen the same old story for the last couple of years. This Eagles offense they're not able to get the ball to their playmakers. They're not able to do this. They're not able to do that. There's been a lot of inconsistency with this offensive line and what they're trying to do. And it messes up their run game as well, which has made them more susceptible to being a little bit. They can tell what they're going to do on offense a lot of times. And on top of that, teams are still going to scheme and have to play against these guys. They're going to try to take the ball away from A.J. Brown. They're going to try to limit Saquon in the running game.
You saw what the Vikings did on that tush push. Laying down the people. They're starting to find methods to.
Right.
Yeah, they're trying to. They're going to break down methods to the madness. But I think Kevin Patullo did a great job of understanding that if they want to have success in this team, they have to start with the pass game. They have to get the ball to the weapons. An eye that I'm looking at, or a key part to this game that I'm looking at, A.J. Brown hasn't practiced in 2 days. They say that he has a little bit of that hamstring injury that was nagging him at the beginning of training camp this year. That's going to be a big piece if he's not able to go in this football game. You would look at guys like Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson to step up in a game like this. And for the Giants, it's kind of win or go home for their season right now, and especially for Brian Dable. This is kind of the position where really
fighting for his job every week.
His job is on the line. If they're not able to, and they're going to have to play in Philadelphia after the performance that they just had. In this game, I do have the Eagles. I do have the momentum that they have going for them so far, and I think that it's kind of the beginning of the end for the Brian Dable era in New York.
Yeah.
I think obviously one of the hardest things you can do is to beat a team twice, but I think I got to go against you. I'm sorry. I got to go with the Giants. I think we saw what they were able to do against Philadelphia the last time they played. I think if they played the exact same way, they do have a chance. It depends on how A.J. Brown is, too. If he's playing like he did against the Vikings, then obviously I feel like the Eagles will win that game. But if he's out, that's going to be an issue for the Eagles and with the Giants. I mean, we discussed it, man. They are coming out with a horrible collapse in the fourth quarter. And I think another way to help yourself in that cause, in that NFC East, is to come out, forget what happened last week, and defeat a divisional opponent. The one most likely you hate the most.
This Giants team, in my opinion, we've seen what they can be, both sides of the coin.
Yes.
They can be the worst team in the league. They can beat the best team in the league.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's all a matter of finding consistency, finding which Giants are we going to get this week.
Exactly.
But going back to the Broncos, they're staying home, and Dallas Cowboys are going up there next week. In my opinion, this game is really interesting because I feel like the Cowboys are probably the best team without a winning record going against the Broncos, who, in my opinion, are the worst team with a winning record.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got a really high-powered offense going against a really high-powered defense. How do you guys see this one shaking out?
A lot of storylines in this game, and for fans of football in the last couple of years, we know Javonte Williams was the former Denver Broncos running back. He had a torn ACL in his rookie year that kind of derailed a lot of the momentum that he had going for him. He was going to be that bell cow back for that team. Now, when you look at the Broncos, they have J.K. Dobbins, and they also have the rookie second rounder that they got in R.J. Harvey. But this is going to be a game that Javonte Williams definitely had circled on his calendar. And I think as much as Dak Prescott and this offense are going to want to air the ball out, give the ball to George Pickens, we saw what he did against Marshawn Lattimore last week when they played the Commanders. But you're playing in a game this week where you're playing against that Denver Broncos defense that has been very good for the last 3-4 years. And for as long as they've had Patrick Surtain in that defense, he's going to be moving across the formation. He's going to be on guys like CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and try to take the ball away in that part of the offense. I would like to see Dallas try to give the ball more to Jake Ferguson. Since the attention is going to be on those receivers on the outside, you're going to have Jake Ferguson across the seam at that tight end position, be able to get open a lot. He's going to have a lot of different matchups against Jahdae Barron, their first-round pick from the Broncos. But when you're looking at this team, I need Bo Nix to be playing on his A game. It can't be what we saw against the Giants with him not being able to be consistent enough to put this team in a successful situation.
Because against a Dallas team like this, you go out for 3 quarters and you don't do anything for 3 quarters and try to just fit it all
away
in the
from
fourth.
it quick.
That's not going to cut it against the Cowboys.
No, not at all.
And you might be able to cut that against the Giants, but not against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think, honestly, the Cowboys do have this game. I think their offense is just so good to the point where I think they are going to able to run out like they did Washington last week. However, the problem I have with them is the defense.
Yes.
I think the defense is going to be make or break in this game if the Cowboys want to win or not.
Yes.
Let's move on, guys. Last Thursday, my Steelers went down to Cincinnati.
They made us look bad.
Yeah.
We all claim the Steelers
Yeah.
on paper, they got that in the bag. It's the Unk Bowl, Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco. Well, Joe Flacco, 31 for 47, 328 yards and 3 touchdowns, gets the 33-31 victory over Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. It was just what a heartbreaker for me personally. But, looking at it objectively, good for you, Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Good for you, because Unk still got it.
Yeah.
Unk still got
Yeah.
He completely balled out. As a quarterback in the NFL, his job is to give the ball to your playmaker. So what did
Right.
he do? Team record, 16 catches and over 150 yards for Jamar Chase in that football game. And he made it, again, made it look like the unction, and these guys were at the cookout. He was giving Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr. fits all night.
work.
But
Yeah.
when you're able to have a guy like Joe Flacco, we've seen him win a Super Bowl. This guy is a legit quarterback in the National Football League. Age aside, both quarterbacks, I thought, played really well.
Yeah.
It ultimately came down to defenses being able to get a stop and Joe Flacco being able to lead them downfield, get that game-winning field goal, and win a game for this football team. But going into this next game, Steelers had the Packers on deck.
Yeah.
Oh.
And what do you think about that, Ainsley, going into this matchup? Aaron Rodgers returning back to the team that drafted him and he had so much success for.
Yeah, honestly, I think obviously when you play against a team that so much, you root so much for, not root, but played so long for, you kind of want to, play well against them. But I think I do have the Packers in this game. Okay. But I think all because Jordan Love has been playing great, but I think I'm focusing on that defense with Micah Parsons. You saw how he played against Arizona last week and setting up the Packers and getting that win with sacking Kyler Murray. So I think I gotta go with, I'm sorry, Gabe, but I gotta go with the Packers on this one.
The $67 million man, Mr. Micah Parsons, he's going to be on Broderick Jones Island all week because, people were talking smack on Broderick Jones. He gives up a lot of pressures and all that. The man did his job.
Exactly.
The man does his job.
Yeah.
He held Myles Garrett to a zero stat game.
Exactly.
And Aaron Rodgers, he's going to go into this game against his old team, and he'll have the opportunity to become only the 5th quarterback in NFL history to defeat all 32 teams.
Wow.
You think he's not going to capitalize on that?
Yeah.
Right.
Like Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers' offense is amazing.
Yeah.
He still got it. If Unk still got it, if one Unk still got it, it's Aaron Rodgers.
I definitely agree, Gabe. I think looking at this game, the Packers are going to be going to Pittsburgh after a loss against that divisional opponent in the Bengals. But you got to think the Green Bay Packers are going to go on the road, and they just narrowly escaped the Cardinals in a game that they should have lost. They should have lost that game. If it wasn't for the heroics of Josh Jacobs playing sick, playing with a hurt calf, being able to will that team to that win, they would have lost, and they would have been looking at 4-2-1 so far in the season. But I think in a game like this, I think the Steelers are going to try to take advantage of the fact that this Green Bay Packer, especially their wide receiver room, they're inexperienced. We haven't seen much from Matthew Golden and the outside receivers that you have on this team. Obviously, you had the injuries on the outside in both Christian Watson and also their other receiver, Jaden Reed, with that broken collarbone not being able to be in this game. But for the Steelers, I think they're going to be able to pull this one out. I think they're going to play a little bit extra harder for Aaron, understanding the context of this football game. And then on top of that, like you said, what we've seen so far from the Steelers offensive line when it comes to playing marquee matchups against defensive ends, like you said, they absolutely blinked Myles Garrett, and they double teamed him 11 times in this game. When it's third down situation, they're going to have their eyes on Micah Parsons, and it's also going to open up Rashawn Gary and the rest of the linebacker room and edge rushers for this Packers defense. But I think the Steelers are going to have enough and do enough to will their way to a win in this game.
Every Steelers fan in the world, including and especially myself, knows that the Steelers, that defense, it's the most expensive one in the league.
Yeah.
But they're not themselves this year. And
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know what's going on in that locker room. I don't know what team dramas they have. But they need to get it together because everyone was on that defense was talking about, we have the chance to be the best in the history of the league before the season started, and they do.
They
They
do.
have the
They have the
personnel.
talent.
They have the personnel to do
Yes,
that.
yeah.
But it's if any one week is the time to get it together and really ride for the whole well-being of the team, it's this week against the Packers at home.
It's going to take your stars. You're going to take guys like T.J. Watt, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter, all those guys, Patrick Queen. All those guys are going to have to be bought in and playing together and being able to rally this defense because there's way too much talent on this team for them to be letting up 30 points against the Jets, letting up 30 points against a team last week in the Bengals that aren't having Joe Burrow. There's so much talent on this team.
Well, guys, it was really great talking to you guys today, but I think that's going to be just about all the time we have this week. Be sure to tune in next Saturday, guys, for another episode of Clean Slate. I'm Gabriel Goddard. This was Ansley Pavicic and Johnny Graves, and we thank you.